Live from downtown Bakersfield, 17 News, your local election headquarters presents the Bakersfield City Council Ward 2 debate. Local issues that matter to you. Now, your debate moderators, Alex Fisher and Jenny Ha.
Tonight, live from downtown Bakersfield, a debate about the future of the heart of the city. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Fisher.
And I'm 17 political reporter Jenny Ha. We are your hosts over the next half hour.
The candidates in this race are looking to represent the area known as the Downtown Ward, one of the most urban and diverse areas in the city of Bakersfield. This is also the only city ward race with an incumbent.
Let's go over the debate rules. Each candidate will get 60 seconds to answer a question. If there's a follow-up or rebuttal, the candidate will get 30 seconds and 15 seconds for clarification if needed. We will remind candidates of those times throughout the night. When their time is up, the sound of a bell will play.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to tonight's debate. We want to let our voters get to know both of you a little bit before, of course, their ballots arrive in the mail. And we're going to begin tonight with an opening statement. We'll start with the incumbent in this race, Mr. Gonzales. Your opening statement, please. You have 60 seconds.
Well, first and foremost, thank you to KGET for hosting this forum. It's important for the voters to hear our perspectives. I am running for city council for the same reason I ran the very first time, because I deeply love this city. This is the city I was born and raised in. It's the city where my parents got married at Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish on California and Baker Street. It is the city that I graduated from high school and had an opportunity to go off to college and come back home, and where I've been for the last 20 years. I care about this city and I believe in our future. And I know that every big city, and you know, it's often cited, we're the 9th largest city in the state of California. But I don't want to be just a big city. I want us to be a great city. And every single great city in America has always focused in on its urban core. And we need a strong advocate representing Ward 2 who's going to continue to fight for the urban core: Southeast Bakersfield, Central Bakersfield, East Bakersfield, Westchester, Oleander, Sunset. We must fight for the heart of our city.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Cardenas, your opening statement, sir. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. My name's Michael Cardenas. I'm a small business owner. I'm a union member. I'm a husband. I'm an IHHS caregiver for my mother, and I'm a member of the community. I deeply care about making Bakersfield a place that we can all thrive in, something that we can all work together to make better. I have a lot of experience in building and construction, and I want to take a complete overhaul of our building and zoning code so that we can build a better Bakersfield for all of us.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
We begin tonight on homelessness. It is one of the most visible issues in our city. A recent local report on homelessness found more people are on the streets now than ever before. That's despite an increase in available shelter beds and new city ordinances that aim to tackle this issue. Mr. Gonzales, this question is for you. Since taking office in 2016, you have been outspoken regarding the homelessness issue and have been involved in finding solutions despite millions being spent, especially on emergency shelters. People are still waiting for beds. Should the city spend more money on beds? You have 60 seconds.
No, the city should not spend more money on beds. First and foremost, Plunge Lane Navigation Center is the low barrier shelter, which is becoming a national model. It is a shelter that I led the fight for on the city council, and I'm glad we did. We now have 300 beds at BLNC, and they're completely full. And not only that, but from BLNC, over 400 people now have moved to permanent housing from that shelter. So imagine it, 700 people now would have been on our streets tonight if it wasn't for those efforts. In addition to that, the city has sponsored an additional 400 emergency shelter beds throughout the community. That's another 400 people who would have been out on our streets. So no, we must not focus on shelter beds. The triage phase is over. Now we have to look at long-term solutions. And what that means is building more affordable housing, finding better behavioral health supports with Care Court coming online, with SB 43 coming online. We need to be able to partner with the county and the city and the state in order for us to look beyond shelters.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. A quick follow-up. Are there more resources that can be made available to make sure that there are permanent solutions to this growing issue? You have 30 seconds.
No, absolutely. In fact, we built the first affordable housing trust fund, which has generated over 500 units of housing. The problem is we can't build units fast enough. When the state got rid of redevelopment agencies in 2011, it left the city without the fundamental mechanism to actually build more housing. Now, thanks to Measure N in 2019, we've been able to accelerate the construction, but we can't get to it fast enough. So we're going to have to think of more creative solutions, but obviously permanent housing, behavioral health beds, those are the real solutions to this growing problem.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, the same question to you now. Should the city spend more money on homeless shelter beds? You have 60 seconds.
I don't believe that we should be focusing our energy on building more shelter beds. I think that we need to be looking at all of the solutions that are post-shelter. One of the things that we're often not talking about is how we reintegrate these people back. We're not talking about adult education so that they have the appropriate skill sets to get back on their feet once they're out of the shelters. We need to talk about how we can get them to have appropriate skill sets so that they can get out there and truly be a part of society and have transferable skill sets that allow them to grow.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
And this next question is to you both. The Supreme Court recently gave local governments greater ability to enact and enforce criminal penalties for those living in homeless encampments. Mr. Gonzales, we'll begin with you. You've described the clearing of encampments as a game of whack-a-mole. What is your solution to solving the problem? You have 60 seconds.
We must clear encampments. Encampments are a danger to everyone. It's a public safety threat to the community, and it's a public safety threat to the people who are living within encampments. It's also a public health threat. We have to close encampments because they become dangerous, and oftentimes, I've spoken to many people who are experiencing homelessness. They've told me horrible stories of things that can happen to vulnerable people who are living within these encampments. We have to close encampments. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, and we do. The city has invested in rapid response teams through code enforcement, our impact teams through Bakersfield Police Department, and both those teams are very thoughtful and strategic, working alongside homeless service providers, flood ministries, in order to really help people get into the shelters or get into housing or find their way home. Some people are not from Bakersfield. We need to get them a bus ticket back home, but we need to be very thoughtful and strategic, but also aggressive. And now that the Supreme Court has...
Mr. Gonzales,
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Cardenas, does clearing encampments solve the issue of homelessness? And if so, where should those individuals go? You have 60 seconds.
I don't believe that clearing the encampments is solving the issue, but it certainly is helping make our community feel safer. These people on the streets are experiencing the toughest times that anyone could experience, and we need to make sure that we're connecting them with essential services. We need to make sure that not only are they off the streets, but then they're connected with everyone that they need to be connected with, building a housing plan, building an education plan, and making sure that they have all of those resources available to them.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. Alex?
May I respond to that?
You can have 15 seconds.
This is actually what we're doing. We're actually, everything that Mr. Cardenas is recommending, we're actually doing at Brundage Lane Navigation Center. We have homeless navigators who are working with those who are living at Brundage Lane and working on job training programs, on education plans, and helping people find permanent housing. We're doing exactly that right now.
Mr. Cardenas, if you'd like to respond, you also have 15 seconds.
We're just not seeing the actual effects of that, and that's what I hear everywhere. And every time I knock on a door, everyone wants to know what the real solutions are, and it doesn't seem that they're having any sort of performance at this point in time.
All right, Mr. Cardenas, thank you. We're going to turn now to housing affordability. Home prices in Bakersfield, as you know, are significantly higher than they were just a couple of years ago. In fact, the latest Crabtree report shows the median home price within the city of Bakersfield is now $387,000. Mr. Cardenas, this question is for you. How could the city of Bakersfield assist residents with housing affordability? You have 60 seconds.
This is an area that I feel passionately about. One of the things that I think we need to focus on is adjusting our general plan so that we can resize our minimum lot size and resize our minimum house size, because as of now, we don't have a housing product that actually is a starter home for people. We haven't been building one-bedroom homes that can be individually owned. We haven't been building two-bedroom homes that can be individually owned. We need to focus on creating these housing products that are similar to the apartment products that are out there. That way we can free up the apartment inventory, and all the people that wish they could have been a homeowner will now have that opportunity. That's something that I hope to do with our city.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. A quick follow-up. Of course, this is something that is affecting so many residents here in the city of Bakersfield today. Are there any measures that the city of Bakersfield City Council can do to assist these residents in the present? You have 60 seconds.
I believe that, like I had said before, going through and analyzing what other municipalities had done. San Antonio, Texas is one that's gone through and readjusted their lot sizes and their house sizes to make more housing inventory is something that we really need to take a look at.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. Mr. Gonzales, more apartment complexes are coming to downtown Bakersfield, but many argue they are luxury apartments and don't necessarily help with housing affordability. Should the city instead designate more lot spaces to affordable apartments within the center of downtown Bakersfield? You have 60 seconds.
Actually, that's where we've been building most affordable housing over the last 30 years is Central Bakersfield and East Bakersfield and Southeast Bakersfield. And we have to be careful as a city not to concentrate poverty within one single ward. In fact, we need to make sure that we build affordable housing throughout all four corners of our community. And we know that the benefits, research shows that the benefits outweigh anything else when we're able to actually have mixed income neighborhoods. It actually helps move people out of poverty and into the middle class. But I want to get to a point that he made about lot size. We're already doing that as well. We're actually working on our housing element right now, and reducing lot sizes is actually part of the plan. So all of this work that he just mentioned is already in production. We recognize that we have to build more housing. The reality is that Bakersfield is becoming one of the last places where affordability can actually be attained in the state of California. And so we have to make sure we do a lot more, including building the community land trust, which I propose, so that we can make sure that we guarantee affordability in perpetuity for Bakersfield residents.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, he did, of course, talk to your point. You have 15 seconds to respond if you would like.
Regardless of whether I'm the one to bring it to the forefront or he's the one to bring it to the forefront, all I hope is that we're able to build more affordable housing for people. That's really the goal, is to bring these issues to the forefront.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. Jenny?
We all know how important the issue of crime is here in downtown Bakersfield. We've talked to small business owners who say they're fed up with theft and repairing broken windows. A city study revealed that within a 3-month period, 125 arrests were made in downtown, all attributed to just 11 people. Mr. Gonzales, this question goes to you. Sure. You've said it's frustrating to see people arrested, then released within hours, only to commit the same crimes again. How can the city work with the sheriff and other law enforcement to hold the small group of repeat offenders accountable?
It's a great question. Thank you. It's a great question, and it is very frustrating. And it's a gut punch every time we see a property crime or something happen in downtown Bakersfield, because there's so many of us who are working towards revitalization. So we are working with the sheriff's department, and we're making some headway. We're looking at opportunities to expand opportunities at other jails, perhaps at Taft Jail, or opening the Ridgecrest facility, reopening the Ridgecrest facility that the county maintains, opening up and helping support the sheriff at getting more detention deputies so we can actually utilize some of the jail beds at Lerdo. Those are the practical ways. We have to be able to get a handle on it. For example, in February of 2024, we arrested 192 individuals in downtown and Old Town. 82% were out within 15 hours. That's unacceptable. And so we, as we have added police officers to our complement, we have to be sure that those individuals who are committing crimes are held accountable.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzales. And back in March, the city injected another $500,000 into a popular city program that provides grants for businesses that need security upgrades. However, under that plan, only certain businesses in the city qualify for that federal funding. A question for both of you. How can the city help business owners who can't qualify for that federal funding? Mr. Gonzales, we'll begin with you. You have 30 seconds.
Well, I'm glad you asked this question because this was actually one of the projects that I brought forward to the City Council, and my colleagues had adopted it. And yes, we used one-time federal ARPA funds in order to fund this program. And so only qualifying census tracts actually were qualified for this grant program. Actually, most of Ward 2 businesses actually qualify. So your question is, how do we make sure that others qualify? We'd have to use general fund dollars in order to provide this grant opportunity, which I'm certainly in support of.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, the same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. How can the city help business owners who don't qualify for that ARPA federal funding?
Well, I think that it's about more than just how the city can help these businesses get those resources, because how are those resources truly helping? I've been the victim of break-ins multiple times, had complete video footage of it, and the police say there's nothing that they can do about it. So I want to take a look at how we can actually get law enforcement to have the power they need to not only prosecute, but make sure that they're not getting out immediately.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
All right, 15 minutes down, 15 more to go. Coming up after the break, we're going to continue to talk about the issues here in the city of Bakersfield that impact you and your family. It is debate night in the city of Bakersfield. We're back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back. Live from downtown Bakersfield, you're watching the Bakersfield City Council Ward 2 debate. I'm Jenny He.
And I'm Alex Fisher. Let's get right into it. Fires at vacant structures are a reoccurring problem in the city of Bakersfield, especially in the downtown area, where many streets are plagued with the eyesore of a charred building. The Bakersfield Fire Department says they've looked into more than 550 cases of arson since the beginning of this year, and nearly 40 arrests have been made. The City Council has passed a vacant building registration ordinance that levies fines against absentee owners. Mr. Gonzales, this question is for you. Is this ordinance enough at preventing these fires? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's not enough. And actually, that vacant structure ordinance was, again, one of my initiatives that I got through the City Council, but we need to strengthen it. And we need to make a requirement that all vacant structures have fire detection, because we know that every minute counts. But beyond that, what we really need is more arson investigators. In 1980, we had 4 arson investigators within the Bakersfield Fire Department. In 2010, that dropped down to 2. In 2019, we were able to upscale and bring back all 4 arson investigators. But for a city our size, we need to do more. And I have proposed the city of Bakersfield and City Council actually at mid-year add additional 4 arson investigators. And we know that the arson investigator conviction rate is 100%. It's very successful. In fact, we caught the arsonist within days of the Toucan building, and he's now in court. And so when we have arson investigators and we allow them to do their job, they get the job done, and that is ultimately the solution.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Just a quick follow-up, because a lot of people are still asking what is going to happen to those burned buildings.
Sure.
Many lots, of course, especially in the downtown area, still see those charred remains. What is the city doing right now to clear those lots? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, so the Great American building is in escrow right now, and the new owner has a plan to actually save that structure. And I've worked with the building department and with the owner so that we can save the bones of the building. Same thing with the Toucan building. In fact, we have a large facade grant program that we've awarded the building owners so that they can upgrade that space. So the Toucan building is coming back. The Great American building will come back. Tina Marie's is coming back and working with those owners as well. And so we're going to see a transformation in downtown. We got knocked down, but we get back up.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, you just heard what the City Council is doing in creating ordinances. Do you believe that is a good start? And what more do you think the City Council could do to prevent these things from happening? You have 60 seconds.
I think it's about more than arson, but crime in our downtown area in general. I think that we need to do more to analyze what other municipalities are doing. We need to look at Simi Valley. We need to look at Valencia. We need to look at Newport Beach. We need to look at all of these cities that aren't facing these issues and see what their municipal code is doing to allow them to enforce the law and to make sure that these things aren't happening in our community. We can't just blindly shoot saying, oh, well, we need to do more. We need to analyze who's doing it right and see how we can emulate that.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
Turning now to the topic of downtown revitalization and beautification. We all know downtown is the arts and business hub of any city. There's been an effort in recent years to beautify ours. Mr. Gonzales, this question goes to you. You've been in this seat since 2016. You've seen both positive and negative changes to the downtown ward in that time. What is your overarching vision for downtown Bakersfield, and how has it changed, if at all, during your time in office? You have 60 seconds.
My overarching vision is to bring more people downtown to work and to live and to play. And I've done a number of things. One is pushing the City Council to adopt a council goal to double the population of downtown from 2018 to 2030. That would mean 10,000 additional people. We're seeing more development and trying to incentivize more housing development to come downtown so we can have people living downtown. And we know that with more eyes and ears, the safer the conditions are. We also know by more people living downtown, it helps support our small businesses, our restaurants, our florists, our boutiques, our cafes. And so we want to encourage them as well. I've also been a huge champion of the Economic Opportunity Area Program, getting more funding for that program, and we've invested over $3.5 million in hundreds of businesses in both downtown and in Old Town over the last several years. But we're going to do more. 18th and 19th Street is currently in design for a complete remodel so that we can create this pedestrian paseo, a walking path from the Fox Theater or from the Padre Hotel all the way down to Mill Creek.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. A quick follow-up. It's now 2024. Are we on track to meet your 2030 goal?
In terms of units of housing, we are not, but we need to accelerate the development. And there's several projects in the works, which is encouraging. And I think that some of the market rate housing that has been built was sort of a test. It was a pilot project. And we're seeing that those buildings are completely occupied, and they're actually successful. And so my hope is that we can accelerate the work moving forward. Of course, we are working with lots of different ordinances and zoning changes, and that will only help us ease the burden for developers to actually come in and do infill development.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, you moved to Kern County from Los Angeles in 2019. How does having grown up in metropolitan Southern California affect your vision of downtown Bakersfield? You have 60 seconds.
Well, growing up in Los Angeles, I saw what larger cities were failing at. You know, Los Angeles, San Francisco have done a lot that has failed, and moving to Bakersfield, I had hoped to flee what they had failed at. And it seems that we're starting to take a turn here that is emulating those larger cities where we're seeing more crime, we're seeing more homelessness, and those problems just are compounding, and we need to do something about it now before it's too late. We're at a tipping point and we have a decision to make, and I think that if we all work together, we can make it better.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. This next question goes to both of you. As part of revitalization efforts, city officials are looking into transforming the old Sumner Street train depot, a project that could cost millions. Opponents call the idea a money pit, a waste of time and public dollars in a neighborhood that has struggled with blight. Mr. Cardenas, we'll start with you. Are the critics wrong? You have 60 seconds.
I believe the critics are right. I don't think that it's the right use of our public dollars to invest in something like that. While the vision is beautiful on paper, I don't think that in practice it's actually going to revitalize the neighborhood as much as they think it will.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you. Mr. Gonzales, same question to you. Are the critics wrong? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, the opponents are dead wrong. The Sumner Depot is a historical site. It is a huge asset for East Bakersfield and Old Town Kern. And we must protect our assets, particularly in a neighborhood that is surrounded by disadvantaged neighborhoods, that needs new economic growth and opportunity, where families need opportunities to own a small business or get a better job. And we can build and rebuild the Sumner Depot, revitalize it so that it becomes a place that brings in lots of people from throughout the community. And I tell you, Old Town Kern has a wonderful bones, and it has a lot of things going for it, with a lot of historic restaurants like Woolgory's and Luigi's and Pyrenees Cafe and Arizona Cafe. And we need to continue to support those businesses in very real ways. But the Sumner Depot is an asset that we must invest in order for us to revitalize Old Town Kern and the surrounding neighborhoods of East Bakersfield.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you.
We now turn to an issue we call Kern's canine crisis. Last year, the City Council passed an ordinance that aims to tackle the issue of overpopulation. But the Bakersfield Animal Care Center says it's still forced to euthanize up to 50 dogs a week because they simply don't have enough room for the amount of dogs coming into the shelter currently. Mr. Gonzales' question is for you. Has the city seen any positive results from those ordinances, and what else can be done to prevent this problem from expanding? You have 15 seconds.
Yes, I again pushed for the mandatory spay-neuter ordinance in December of last year, and we're already seeing results. Actually, 800 fewer dogs have been sent to the animal care facility this year than last year. That is in large part because of this ordinance, but we must do more.
And animal advocates say when homeless encampments are broken up across the city of Bakersfield, dogs living in them actually end up at the shelter. An added strain on a system that already is struggling to keep up. What solutions do you propose to keep unhoused individuals' dogs from coming into the shelter? What more can be done? Mr. Cardenas, we'll start with you. You have 15 seconds.
I think one of the things outside of just the unhoused we need to do is we need to start educating people on how to appropriately care for animals and to teach them that they are not Christmas presents, that they are not just something to be discarded, that they're members of the family that need to be cherished. That way they're not ending up in these facilities.
Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
All right, gentlemen, it's time for closing statements. Mr. Gonzales, you're up first. Your closing statement, please. You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. As it was stated earlier, Ward 2 is the historic part of our community. It is where Bakersfield actually started, and it is the most cherished part of our city, and it's worth fighting for. And you know, the city of Bakersfield continues to sprawl outward, and at City Hall there's a debate about resources and where the focus should be. And as we continue to sprawl outward, we must have a commitment and be very intentional about investing in our urban core, investing in Ward 2. As we build new roads on the west side, we have to repair the roads in East Bakersfield and in Central Bakersfield. We have to invest in our urban core.
Mr. Gonzales, thank you. Mr. Cardenas, your closing statement, please. You have 30 seconds.
As a non-career politician, I'm focused on how we can quickly solve this rather than stretch it out over several terms. My ultimate goal is to work with the community to analyze other municipalities' codes and figure out the right way to build a better Bakersfield. I don't want to stretch this out. I want to make it happen right now.
All right, Mr. Cardenas, thank you.
All right, well, that is all the time that we have for tonight. We want to thank both of you for joining us for this debate night here in downtown Bakersfield. By the way, to you at home, ballots are currently in the mail. You'll be getting them in just a matter of days.
And you can also find an extensive profile of both these candidates on our website, KGET.com. And a reminder, Election Day is November 5th. Good night.